Talking about fiscal structure now, the Senate has raised an alarm on the porous procurement system in the country. So what can be done how do you see, to start with, how do you see the nation's procurement system?
There is a department, the Bureau of Public Purchasing, that actually is doing a very good job in monitoring tenders and projects. And the procedures put in place for any project or any purchase certainly makes it, leaves a track of how you conduct a purchase or a contract. You have to get a budget. You have to have a program of a procurement program that has to be approved. You have to go and advertise. The tender is open publicly, and the contracts are awarded and then monitored. So from what I can see, there's very, very good procedures in place for procurement. If all agencies are not abiding very strictly to those procedures, then that is what the Bureau of Public Purchasing and other agencies like the Auditor General of the Federation can begin to monitor to ensure that procedures are followed strictly. But the procedures are there, and there's a bureau that's job is to ensure that these procedures are complied with.
Now, the Senate recently declared that the existing revenue sharing formula is illegal, and they said that there is no extant law backing the revenue sharing formula. Isn't this an indictment on the RMAFC?
No. What has happened is that the revenue formula we are operating now was a revenue formula that was done in 1992. But the President Obasanjo had to sign one or two amendments to which the Constitution allowed him to bring certain laws into conformity with the Constitution of 1999. Because some of these things, some of these laws were done and made before 1999 Constitution. So you have to now, where there's slight conflict, you may have to bring them in, the two into alignment, and he's done that. What the National Assembly said was that the revenue formula is now getting to what the term may be stale or obsolete, that has been there for too long.
No, they are making it clear. They are saying it's illegal.
Saying illegal
is it legal or illegal?
I would not call it illegal. But I would also say that a revenue formula, the Constitution, what the Constitution said is simple. The Constitution says the revenue formula should be reviewed from time to time to bring it into conformity with current realities. Okay, now that is what the Constitution said. There is no upper limit as per how long a revenue formula should exist before it is changed. Right, but the Constitution says at the end of that section says that any new revenue formula has to be operated for at least 5 years before you change it. There's no upper limit, but there's a lower limit.
Now, if the Senate is saying that there is no extant law backing the current revenue sharing formula, does this suggest that the RMAFC is an accomplice to some politicians in extorting the nation's treasury?
No. So I would not go to that harsh language. But what I'm trying to say is that any law passed before 1999 is assumed to be part of 1999 Constitution. So an act that was passed in 1992, a decree that was passed in 1992 to formulate that revenue formula that we currently have, has the backing of the Constitution of 1999, which says all laws now are backed by the Constitution. The one or two modifications that were made were to bring the formula into conformity with the 1999 Constitution, where one or two little problems were found, and that was what was done.
Now, if the Senate is saying that the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation and Fiscal Commission should adjust the current revenue sharing formula to reflect the current realities, what are those factors you're looking at?
First of all, the Revenue Commission continuously monitors the revenue formula. We continuously monitor it. But the basic building block of the revenue formula starts with the Constitution itself. The Constitution has given the 3 tiers of government certain functions, given the federal exclusive functions, and gave the states and local governments and the federal concurrent list. Concurrent list means that they all share that function. When you take that constitutional provision, then you now structure what are the activities in those functions that the Constitution has worked out. Then you now work out the content, and then you now go into how much is it going to cost to do all those functions. Then you begin to share there's a same pie. You now share that pie to allow each tier to do its work to satisfy the requirements of the Constitution. So you now have to go back. So the review of the formula is being done by the Revenue Commission even right now.